guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Atlanta, Season 15, Episode 4. And before we begin, let me just say, for the 3 Marlo fans who continue to camp out in my comments, I love having you here, but my opinion on Marlo Hampton is not changing. I stand by Marlo is unhinged and she is deeply envious of Kandi and Kenya. She cannot go a scene without talking about either one of them. Marlo's behavior is giving, we need a restraining order because I think that this woman wants to be me and she might harm me. And yes, that might sound extreme. Yes, you might say, oh, Brooke, you're being dramatic. It's just a show. But Marlo's behavior is textbook jealousy, single white female. In this case, it's single black female. There's just some real weird stuff going on. And the end of this episode solidified that for me because once again, Marlo went off the rails. And let me just say, Marlo is not housewife material. I don't care how you slice it. And Marlo thinks that just because she has designer clothes, that means something. Marlo needs to get some help. This is not cool. And folks are going around making excuses for her, talking about her childhood. I don't want to hear that. Everybody has issues. Marlo's not alone in that. Everybody. I don't care how put together somebody is. We all have issues. But we're not all acting out like Marlo is. I didn't sign up to see more craziness. Potomac already wore me thin. Jersey wore me out. And I refuse to get my blood boiled with Atlanta and Marlo's antics. But with all that being said, y'all, let's just jump right on into this recap because you guys already know that we don't have a minute to spare. Now, we open up the episode with Kenya and Monyetta. And I have to say thank God because these last 3 episodes, we've been starting it off with Sheree. So it was a nice change to see somebody else that I actually like open up an episode. But anyhow, we see Kenya and Monyetta. They're going over the choreography. Remember that Kenya's going to be performing for the Magic City Classic in Alabama, and she wants to make sure that her steps are right. So Kenya says that she's nervous because she wants to make sure that this performance is perfect. She's like, look, 2 weeks ago, I performed at BravoCon. It wasn't my best moment. I didn't do that great of a job. I missed a few steps. And I am not trying to have the same thing happen to me at the Magic City Classic because Magic City Classic is a whole bunch of black folks, all these HBCUs, and we know that we will definitely roast somebody if their performance is not up to par. So she says that she's thankful for Monyetta to teach her a dance routine. And we learned that Monyetta has performed with a lot of artists. She's performed with Genuine, I think she said 112, and also Prince. So I'm like, okay. Now, I had no idea that Monyetta was like a jack of all trades where she's done choreography. I know that she was a radio personality. She's also an author. It seems like Miss Monyetta does it all. But I said, Monyetta's a good friend to have because not only that, she also plays matchmaker as well. Because it was so funny that when they were taking a break, Kenya's new man, Roy, called her and he's asking her how the rehearsal's going. So Kenya's like, oh, it's going well. And she's all giddy on the phone. It was so cute. Once again, Monyetta, if you're watching my video, please DM me or send me an email and let me know if Roy has any friends, okay? Because you definitely know how to find the men. But anyhow, Kenya says that she's having a good time. Roy makes her feel good. She says that she read the Yelp reviews, and when it comes to Roy in the bed, he's a 9.6. I was like, well, come through. Again, Monyetta, please let me know if Roy has any more friends, okay? Please. And also, here's how I know for sure that a lot of these Bravo celebrities watch our channels, because when Kenya said that comment about she read the Yelp reviews, I immediately thought about my girl, Erica De Niro, because Erica always says that in her videos. So I was like, yup, Kenya and all of them are watching us. They really are. And shout out to the diva. I have to say, I am glad that Kenya is dating again because she's been going through this divorce longer than she's been married. And the way that Mark is trying to ruin her life and holds everything up for her, I'm glad she's saying, you know what? It's up to him at this point, but I'm not going to sit up here and put my life on hold. And I don't want to harp on it, but I really get upset every time I think about the fact that Kenya was so desperate to get married that she married Mark. You could look at Mark and tell he was up to no good. The only blessing that came out of that marriage is her daughter, Brooklyn. But I'm just like, Kenya, next time you have to vet properly because, I mean, Mark, a mess. But hopefully, Lord willing, Mark will finally sign these divorce papers sometime this year. Now, this next scene with Sanya at home had me scratching my head. Like, Sanya, this whole living situation with your family already makes no sense. But the fact that your sister and your mom seem to have some attitudes about it, that really blows me. We see Sanya, her mom, and her sister sitting down. They're discussing what needs to be done. Sanya's letting us know in her confessional that things are a bit complicated with her brother-in-law being her assistant because he's a bit lazy. He doesn't want to do all the work that's required. And we see that there's still a lot of stuff that needs to be done that he has yet to complete. Again, Sanya, it's time for you to send your brother-in-law, your sister, your mama, and your daddy some links to Indeed or USA Jobs or something because, again, this whole arrangement ain't it.
No.
So now Sanya lets her sister and her mom know that the other day her and Ross were talking, and Ross said that he wants their home to be just the three of them. He's tired of all these folks in his house. When Sanya's sister was sitting there talking about, oh, he wants us out, well, things will never be the same. And I'm thinking, girl, you expect to live with your sister and your brother-in-law forever? Why are you upset that your sister wants you to be an adult and stand on your own 2 feet? You guys have been in her house for over a year now. You don't think it's time for you to go? And then when Sanya's sister and her mom got that confessional and she's sitting there talking about, oh, Sanya's not selfish, she's just self-centered. And I'm like, again, the logic. So you think in your pea brain that you should be living with your sister rent-free for just years and years and years? I'm not understanding it. You have no right to be mad about anything. Also, all this time that you've been living with Sanya and Ross, you guys haven't had any money saved up. You haven't touched a bill in 18 months. You should have a nice nest egg to be able to move on your own. This anger and confusion is giving me that you and your husband are broke and you don't have the money to move out, and that's why you feel like Sanya is doing something to you because she wants you out. I get the impression that Sanya's family feels entitled, like because they helped her out in the beginning of her career, they feel like she owes them something now. I'm sure that Sanya has paid her parents and her sister very well over the years. But for her sister to act like Sanya is the villain because she wants them all out of her home is ridiculous. Also, they would have been out the minute she called me a dingbat. So there would have been U-Hauls already outside. Y'all would have been out. Y'all would have been in a hotel, an Airbnb, but you wouldn't have been at my home. I can tell you that. And when Sanya's sister got up and left and Sanya was like, oh my gosh, I feel so bad now. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. And I was thinking, Sanya, that's life. Sometimes you have to have a difficult conversation. And also, you're not in the wrong here. It's your home. Why are you feeling bad or guilty? Again, you're not in the wrong in this. Don't let your sister manipulate you into thinking that you're the bad guy because the gravy train and the free ride is over. She'll be okay. And again, shout out to you guys in last week's recap because you guys let me know that Sanya's sister's husband has been a deadbeat for a long time. That he couldn't keep a job when he was on their first reality TV show on WeTV. And we saw the deadbeat behavior pop out yet again when later on in the episode, Sanya revealed that her brother-in-law ended up quitting. I said, why are you quitting a job that you so desperately need, sir? Do you have another job lined up? I'm sure Sanya pays you well. But you want to quit because you're mad at her that you can't stay in her house rent-free anymore? I just said, you really can't make this up. I know I said that I would be skipping all of Marlo's scenes this season, but I have to talk about this quickly because Marlo tried it. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I'm like, Marlo, is everything all right at home? If Marlo could blame Kandi for all the terrible things that have happened in this life, she would. I'm convinced that Marlo has a fixation on Kandi and it has reached peak levels, and I am gravely concerned because it's clear that Marlo's not playing with a full deck. We see Marlo and her nephews having a family Halloween photo shoot, and she invites her sister Crystal and Courtney. Now, I don't know why Courtney was there, but okay. Courtney, for you to be a crisis manager, you're making a complete fool of yourself, and I have secondhand embarrassment for you. And then you calling yourself Olivia Pope? Absolutely not. Not in this lifetime or the next. But Marlo starts off the conversation saying that because of all of her charges and her past, she's not allowed to own a gun, and she's trying to get her record expunged. So now she brings up Kandi, and I'm like, okay, why are we bringing up Kandi's name? She goes on to say that since Kandi claims to be Miss Worldwide and help other people out, why can't Kandi help her out in getting her record expunged?
I've been with this group of girls, Kandi, who say she's worldwide and she helps the world. You've never helped me get my charges expunged.
I said, pardon me? What? What does Kandi Burruss have to do with you not being able to own a gun? Marlo, what are you saying? If you want your record to be expunged, hire a lawyer. Why are you talking about Kandi? Once again, there's this crazy fixation on Kandi. So now Marlo brings up how her nephew was shot and how Kandi didn't send any flowers to the funeral. There was no acknowledgement. And I actually took the time to watch Kandi speak on it, and Kandi cleared all of that up. She said that one, she hired Marlo's nephew right before COVID hit. She only met him 1 or 2 times. I think one of the times was at her annual Christmas party. There was no connection with her and Marlo's nephew. She didn't even know his name. So of course she wouldn't be all torn apart because she didn't even know the man. Obviously, she felt bad for Marlo. She sent her condolences, and that was that. Also, Marlo said in last week's episode that her nephew was offed by his roommate. So nothing happened to him at the restaurant. This happened at his apartment. So why are you still trying to bring Kandi and Old Lady Gang into your family trauma? And I loved how Kandi even said in her speak on it, like, Marlo is really reaching, trying to involve me in her family trauma. Like, what is her problem? It's very alarming. I don't know what to say anymore, but Marlo, this needs to be her last season. She is single-handedly bringing this show down. She's nuts. There's no other way to put it. There's no nice way to say it. She's crazy. And I don't care how anybody feels about it. I said what I said. The woman needs to see somebody. And did anybody catch when Courtney said, well, maybe it's the culture that she creates in regards to Kandi's restaurants and why there are always all these shootings? I was like, Courtney, shut up. So Marlo continues on by adding that everybody in her family is mad at Kandi, and Kandi's name is pretty much mud, and they all think that Kandi's selfish. So everybody in your family hates Kandi, but yet you wanted to introduce Kandi to your mother last season, and your mother seemed to be overjoyed when she met Kandi, but everybody in your family hates her. Right. Marlo, just say that you're angry because you were trying to get some money out of Kandi for your nephew's funeral. That's what this really is all about. Because you told on yourself when you said, well, she didn't even send flowers. She didn't even send a card. I said, oh, there it is. you wanted Kandi to pay for something. So Marlo continues on with her fake sob story about how every time Kandi or anybody gets mad at her, they bring up that stabbing from 20 years ago. And she's like, look, it was in the past. What happened to that young lady? She took her life years after our incident, so that's not on me. Marlo, if you really want to clear that up, why don't you tell us what really happened? Tell us the full story. And that way you can put it to bed and nobody, including us viewers, will bring it up again. But you can't go for the jugular with other people and then want to brush over that story. That's a big deal what you did 20 years ago. So until you get truthful about that, then people are going to continue to throw that in your face.
Oh my God. And you're going to always get it again and again and again.
I was so annoyed at myself for even watching that scene with Marlo, but I have to say I'm still stuck on the fact that Marlo is blaming Kandi for why her record isn't expunged. Now, we jump to the day of the Alabama trip, and they're all meeting at Sheree's house. So we see everybody getting on the Sprinter van except for Drew and Kandi. Drew is sick, and Kandi had other engagements. We know that Kandi's always booked and busy with her 50-11 jobs. And it just so happened that the Magic City Classic fell on the same weekend as the Ebony Power 100 list that Kandi was on. So she went to attend that. So Kenya says that she is a bit bummed that her two favorite people aren't on this trip, but she's still going to have a good time. Now, I'm real petty because if I were Kenya, knowing how I feel about Marlo, I would have had Marlo meet us in Alabama. She would not have been in that same Sprinter van with me. Absolutely not. It definitely would have been on some, be happy that I even invited you, and I only invited you because of production. So Kenya's excited. She's telling them how she can't wait for this weekend. And she's like, oh, by the way, there's going to be a charity dinner, cocktail party. So they're like, girl, I didn't know all that. I don't even know if I brought any charity clothes, but okay. Now, all that coughing and hacking that Kenya and Marlo were both doing on this drive to Alabama, I would have said, driver, please stop right here, and I'm gonna take an Uber to the airport and catch a flight to Alabama, because I can assure you I would have been pissed to go for 2 or 3 hours and they're coughing like that. And I felt really bad for Sanya because she was in the middle of all of it. She had Marlo behind her coughing, and then she had Kenya right in front of her coughing. I said, oh no. So Kenya starts joking around. She's like, there are a lot of single men in Alabama. So she's asking who's single. Courtney says that it's complicated. I'm like, girl, at your big age, talking about it's complicated, you're still on and off with your baby daddy all these years? Like, it's just so funny how Courtney does all this talking, but yet her life is a hot mess. There is no way that I am letting somebody string me along for 2 decades. I'll be damned. Like I said earlier on, Courtney, you stayed 19 years too long. So now Sanya makes a joke saying that she was listening to one of Future's baby mamas talking about eating the groceries. Shout out to Janae Aiko for that. But they all start joking around, and I think Sheree's like, I have never eaten a man's booty before. Like, how does that even go? So then she puts Kenya on the spot, talking about, oh, Kenya, when you did it, how did you like it? One thing about Sheree lives to embarrass Kenya. And I feel like Sheree has always low-key been jealous of Kenya, because why would you say that? Why would you try to embarrass your friend? If Kenya told you that in confidence, why would you try to reveal her secret? But I was also like, Kenya, you're out here doing what? Excuse me, ma'am? What? Like, girl, are you serious? First Gabrielle Union and now you? There's not enough money in the world. I'm all for being free and enjoying yourself, but some stuff is just a bit too far. But Kenya reveals that she was in her 20s when she did it. And she's like, I mean, what's the big deal? Girl. So the ladies arrive in Alabama and they head to a dance studio to have a dance lesson. So they're twerking, having a good time, learning a dance routine from this choreographer. And now Kenya's like, I want to have a dance battle. So you guys are going to break off into teams and whoever wins gets a prize. Now, mind you, Monyetta and Kenya are the judges. They're not participating in this whole dance battle. And Marlo is already pissed off. I'm like, Marlo, is Kenya's trip. These are her activities. Why are you so pressed that she's not a part of this dance battle? Just be happy that you're there and try and be pleasant. Please, can you do that? So we see both teams dance. We have Sheree and Courtney versus Marlo and Sanya. Now, the nicest thing that I will say about Marlo is that she does dance very well. And she does have great knees because mama can still drop it low at the age of what is she, 49, 50? But she does dance well, I will say that. So Marlo gave us some sexy stripper moves, and Kenya's like, no. So she decides that Sheree is the winner. So Marlo's upset about that. And to be honest, I do feel like Marlo should have won the dance battle because she did dance the best out of everybody. Because we know that Sheree doesn't have any rhythm. She has 2 left feet. She's even said it herself repeatedly. So I felt like Marlo probably should have won that, but we know that Kenya does not see it from Marlo, so that wasn't happening. So now it's time for them to get lunch, and they're at the restaurant. That food had my mouth watering. They had ordered some gumbo, some lamb chops, and you know I was salivating. So I think at this point, Courtney's baby daddy calls her. And remember that Courtney's baby daddy used to be in the group Groove Theory. So Kenya's like, oh my gosh, Bryce is your baby father? I did a movie with him years ago. He was a beautiful man. So now Kenya brings up the city winery event. She's like, now I heard through the grapevine that when we all left, Marlo and Drew got into it. Drew called me up really upset. She said that you were talking over her and screaming in her face. Of course, Marlo denies it. She's like, that's not true. Kenya, you weren't even there, so why are you even speaking about this? Now, Marlo, we all watched last week's episode. You were standing over Drew, and that's not hard to do because she's what, 5'1", 5'2", and you're 6 feet? You were literally over her, screaming at her.
But you're talking about acting. No, you're acting about my nephew is dead, bitch! You know what? I'm telling you, my nephew's dead. Are you serious?
So for you to say, well, I didn't do that, it wasn't like that, you're delusional. And you're a liar. Own up to it. And one thing I hate about Marlo is the worst person to argue with because she takes no ownership for anything. She wants to get loud and start cursing. And then she wants to get real smug and real snide when she's losing the argument. Because of course she's telling Kenya, I'll overtalk you if I want to. You're not going to tell me what to do. And it's like, Marlo, grow up. So Kenya says that when it comes to Marlo has a hard time choosing which personality she wants to show to the world. And I agree. I think that Marlo really suffers from some sort of disorder. I don't know what it is, but there's something not quite right. She just has a hard time being a pleasant and decent person. When Kenya said, when the clown invites you to the circus and everybody becomes a clown. And I said, that is very true. Because when you fool around with Marlo or Sheree, you will always come out looking like a clown and a loser, just like them. So when it comes to them, your best bet is to disengage because they clearly are trying to get under your skin. I would pay them dust going forward. Like, I wouldn't say a thing to either one of them. Not a hello, not a goodbye, nothing. Especially Marlo. So now they check into the hotel, and mind you, it was around like 5:30 at this point, and they have to leave for the event at 7. Child, when I tell you that Sheree and Marlo are determined to nitpick and critique everything that Kenya does. Sheree gets to her room and she's like, Kenya promised me a suite. What the hell is this room? Like the hostess with the least. And I wanted to ask Sheree, in all your time on this show, when have you ever hosted a trip? I'll wait. I have no issue admitting when I'm wrong. But if memory serves me correctly, in all the years that Sheree's been on this show, I've yet to see her host a trip. I've seen her host a party. I've seen her host a fashion show with and without fashions, but I don't remember seeing her host a vacation. Now, do I think that Kenya should have had some gift baskets for all the ladies upon arrival? Absolutely yes, because we have seen all the ladies on other franchises with gift baskets when they arrive to their rooms. So now we see Marlo in her room. She's complaining. She's like, what the hell is this? I want my room upgraded. What is this view? Then she's complaining about there were these like mini bottles of champagne. She's like, where are the big bottles? Now I was like, Marlo, in this case, you can't be surprised if Kenya put you in a bad room and didn't lay out the red carpet for you, because you and Kenya don't get along. Kenya does not like you. So why you expected the white glove service from Kenya is beyond me. Like I said earlier, be happy that you're on the trip. And I also didn't like the way Marlo was speaking to one of the employees of the hotel when she said, oh yeah, get me a bottle please, and also get the manager here to this room. And then she started coughing and hacking up a lung. I was like, girl, cover your mouth. You want to have all these demands and bark out all these orders, and yet here you are coughing like this. You should have stayed home. So now we see Kenya, Monyetta, and Sheree downstairs in the lobby, and they're about to head over to the event. So Kenya's pissed. She's like, Monyetta, that outfit is not appropriate. You need to go and change. Like, we're going to a charity upscale event. We're not going to the strip club. Now, Kenya, when we saw that event, Monyetta could have kept what she had on, because when they got there, that was nobody's black tie, upscale cocktail event. People were in jeans, sneakers, t-shirts. I was like, okay. If I were Monyetta, I would have been pissed. Like, girl, you made me change for this? Kenya would have had to run me an apology for that. I have to admit, like, yeah, girl, you have me a bit messed up, because you sat up here and said that my outfit wasn't right. And meanwhile, back at the ranch, this whole event is giving people are going to Applebee's or Chili's. Did you guys peep how rude Sheree was to the fans who came up to her when that one guy was like, oh my gosh, Sheree, I love you. I'm a big fan. And she was like, oh, you're a big fan? Okay. And he was like, can I give you a hug? And she was like, oh, you want a hug?
Let me get a little selfie with y'all.
Okay, just give me 1 second.
Let me check it out.
Wait,
you want a hug?
this is my son.
Were we dropped off at the wrong address? Because this is definitely not the upscale event Kenya has been raving about.
I was like, Sheree, why can't you be gracious? It really blows me how a lot of these reality stars get such overinflated egos. This could be gone from you tomorrow. I don't understand how hard it is to be nice to the fans who are putting money in your pocket. Sheree, you've also been fired from this show 3 times. The least that you of all people could do is give somebody a hug. Be happy that folks still care about you. Be happy that you're still relevant. And I remember hearing years ago that Sheree was out here charging $5 to take a picture with her. Like, girl, are you serious? Who do you think you are, Beyonce? And now we see Marlo and Sanya arrive. So the first thing that they do, they go to the bar. Marlo's talking about, can you please send over a bottle of champagne with some sparklers over to Kenya? And also let it be known that nobody was too impressed by this event. Sanya's like, all this hoopla for just this? Like, girl. Now I said, Sanya, not too much. Not too much, because you were out here hosting those whack party city parties last year with a broken photo booth and 3 bottles of wine and those beef patties from Costco last season. So again, sis, not too much. So you have Marlo talking about this party is low budget, just like Kenya and her wannabe Sex in the City dress. I was like, Marlo, what's wrong with her dress? Okay, the party isn't all that, but Kenya's dress is pretty. Like, I just don't get this fixation that Marlo has. You clearly want to be Kenya's friend. That's what this is. So now at this point, all the ladies are drinking their champagne that Marlo bought. And of course, Marlo has to let it be known that she bought the champagne. So now they go outside, they're sitting down, talking, joking around, and one of the producers comes out and lets Kenya know that everybody at this party wants them out. They think that all the cameras are distracting, and they want them out. They are not amused by the Real Housewives being there. So Kenya lets all them know that they're being kicked out of this event, and now they all leave. Now I'm like, I would be really pissed because the audacity for us to be at this event that was overhyped, we're dressed to the nines, looking amazing, and you want to kick us out. I would have been pissed. Like, I could have stayed home. So Marlo says that this party being a complete bust is karma for Kenya's ass. And I'm like, baby, worry about your karma. Worry about what's about to hit you. Because the way you have been showing your behind for years is going to catch up to you too, sis. So again, I wouldn't have too much to say about Kenya. So now they're all back at the hotel and everybody's in the lobby except for Kenya. She's in her room with her daughter, Brooklyn. So Marlo says that something ain't right. I just know that Kenya's up to something. She goes on to say that Kenya has snuck off before on past trips, and that's what she's probably doing now. So now Sheree says, let's go to Kenya's room, and they all follow suit. So Marlo starts banging on the door like a crazy person, and the way Marlo is acting, you would have thought that somebody owed her money. So now Kenya starts screaming from the other side, and she's like, are you crazy? My daughter's in this room, like, stop it.
Banging on my goddamn door!
Summer!
What's wrong with you?
Nothing, Summer!
A child is here! Get the f*** out! Psycho asshole!
She said her daughter's in there. We're not going.
No, that's bullshit.
So now we see Monyetta saying, Marlo, her daughter's in there. Marlo's talking about, I don't give an F, like, still banging on the door, talking about Summer, Summer. And we all know that Summer is Kenya's middle name. At this point, I started getting chills because Marlo looked and sounded demonic. The fact that you know this woman's 4-year-old child is in this room and you're banging on the door like a psycho speaks volumes. There is no way that anybody can justify that behavior to me. And I was really surprised that Sheree didn't say, Marlo, you need to stop this. Like, this is not right. Sheree's just looking on. Like, there's nothing cool about this. There's nothing amusing about this. There's nothing funny about this. Marlo is a sick woman and needs to get some help. If I were on that production team, the minute she did that, I would have said, okay, we might need to have an emergency meeting and get her kicked off the show. Because we can't go on with this. And Marlo wonders why people don't want to be bothered with her. This is why Kenya doesn't like you, because you're evil. There is no way that Marlo could come near me. She would have to be 50 feet away from me at all times. I do not want her anywhere around me. Do not say hello to me. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. We're not doing this. We're past the point of me being cordial with you. I can't even do that. That's a direct violation. I don't even have children as of yet. And there's no way that I could stand there and allow Marlo or anybody to act like that, knowing that somebody's child is in their room. That is unacceptable. And I swear to you, I'm going to have a real issue if Marlo gets on that reunion and starts crying and blaming her childhood trauma on why she showed her entire ass. The excuses have run dry. There is nothing more that can be said. That was disturbing to watch. And I don't care if you like Kenya or not, you're not going to sit up here and act like Marlo isn't all the way wrong. There was no reason for that. If you're so annoyed about that whack event, go out with the other women and go to a bar or something. But to go to Kenya's room and harass her like that, absolutely not. Bravo. Marlo is a liability. And I hope that you all see that. And I hope that you guys take measures to have her terminated after this season. This needs to be it. Because I can assure you, if she's coming back on for season 16, I won't be watching.
Oh! Shout out to everybody. I had fun.
I gotta be good.
I won't. I'm not going to do this. I'm protecting my peace at all costs, and I refuse to watch Marlo Hampton ruin this show. But guys, that was the episode. Thank you so much for watching my recap. And you guys already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all later. Bye.